call me Roy.
Hi, welcome to Roy's Book Reviews. Today I'd like to talk to you about The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This exquisitely written novel is heavy on setting, chock full of atmosphere and picturesque backdrop, but very light on elements that I personally value in a novel, such as plot, tension, and character development. The setting is, of course, a circus that opens at night rather than during the day, mysteriously showing up in a city, dazzling spectators for a spell, and then moving on to the next designated location. What else differentiates it from circuses that you're familiar with? Well, the theatrics on display are not so much the result of practice, expertise, and daring enterprises as they are the product of magic. Everything taking place in the various tents defies logic because there is nothing logical about them. It's all hocus pocus, the kind found in books of fantasy, not so much in real life. We have a circus where audience members are delighted by acts too amazing to be real because the rules of physics and other ordinary principles need not apply. There is no misdirection taking place, no illusions that are the work of clever, manipulative trickery. Everyone who works for the circus is basically a witch, warlock, wizard, or whatever other names are given to people able to accomplish the impossible on command. Erin Morgenstern is a very talented writer, and perhaps she has written other books that place greater emphasis on plot. But in the Night Circus, she's content using her descriptive writing skills to move her circus from the page to our minds. She makes it easy to picture the black and white design theme of the circus, the amazing sights to be found within tents or on the grounds, the incredible mystical feats being demonstrated for a captivated audience of what J.K. Rowling would call muggles. This is done for page after page after page. It's not a short book. And I kept waiting for something compelling to take place within this world of Morgenstern's creation. Ultimately, I felt disappointed in that regard. Well before reaching the end, but in deep enough that I was compelled to finish what had been started, I realized that I wouldn't be finding what I was looking for. Instead, there would be more of the same until the back cover was reached. The closest that this book comes to providing tension is having two characters that are in competition with each other. What are they competing at? Being the best at magic. What are they competing for? The winner, by whoever, however, and whenever it's to be decided, gets to continue living. The loser, not so much. Not in the traditional manner, anyway. Marco and Celia are thrust into this supernatural match by their handlers / father figures, rather than by choice, and backing out isn't an option for them. Initially, they are sort of, but to be honest, not truly competitive. And once they realize the cost of losing the contest, it loses its appeal, especially since they've fallen in love with each other. So killing each other off is the last thing that either one cares to do. Either one of them must die for the other to live, or else some workaround to the rules of engagement needs to be found. Being that they are practitioners of marvelous spellbinding deeds, surely something can be figured out. Until then, enjoy the show. The Night Circus is categorized as phantasmagorical fairy tale. It takes place during the Victorian era, but there aren't many references to what's going on in the world beyond the circus, so the time period doesn't really matter all that much. Any era post-invention of the traveling circus, pre-invention of cell phones and the internet, would suffice. If you love reading about magical mischief, such as the Harry Potter stories, then the Night Circus may appeal to your sensibilities. If you dig fictional circus life, such as presented in Water for Elephants, then this novel may be your cup of tea. I reviewed Water for Elephants in one of my first videos here. Interestingly enough, I learned from Wikipedia after reading The Night Circus that, like Water for Elephants, it was originally written for the annual writing competition held during National Novel Writing Month. That would be November. And it took the span of 3 competitions for The Night Circus to be written in full. I may have enjoyed it more if it was written over just 1 or 2 competitions. Chopping off 50 to 100 pages would have made this novel feel far less repetitive. Also far less repetitive. I love a long book when deeply invested. When it feels like going through the motions, I'm anxious for the author to wrap things up. If, like myself, you pick up books to find plot progression and character development and mood manipulation caused by things happening or not happening, to discover elements such as epiphanies being reached and lessons being learned, then The Night Circus may disappoint. It may feel like an abundance of empty literary calories that leave you hungry for something more substantial. Much of one's final verdict on a book comes down to why they bothered to read. To be enlightened, entertained, educated, all of the above. Erin Morgenstern showed me with The Night Circus that she's an author who can really write. But she failed to make me particularly care about her characters and what becomes of them. She describes a great deal of magic without making her own, such as my favorite authors do with their prose. But that's just this one reviewer's opinion. Mileage may vary from reader to reader. One of the least eventful books I've ever read is A Gentleman in Moscow. I have a review of that book here on my channel as well. Because I was invested in the fate of the protagonist in A Gentleman in Moscow, and because things actually do happen that matter, even if on a small scale, I fell in love with that story. The Night Circus, not so much. As a fellow author, I'm highly envious of Morgenstern's talents at descriptive writing. I personally find this aspect to be the most challenging part of book writing. Plots and character development and dialogue come much easier to me. If the two of us ever combined on a book, it just might be a fully developed masterpiece. But since the top line on the cover of my copy of The Night Circus proclaims it to be a #1 bestseller, a national bestseller, I suppose that Erin Morgenstern is doing just fine without me. So that's what I have to say about The Night Circus. It has tons of glowing reviews on Goodreads, so certainly plenty of people loved it a lot more than I did. And there is a lot that I did like about this book, but ultimately didn't provide the elements of storytelling that I come to books for. But other people, of course, have different criteria, so it may be more your cup of tea than mine, or not. If you read it, let me know down in the comments. If it sounds like something that would appeal to you, even though I didn't give it 50 stars, let me know that. If you think that what I said is right on the mark, let me know that as well. Until the next time, happy reading.